So recently, a lot of old Animal Jam players have come back to the game, and a lot of traction has been getting over my videos, especially this one on screen, where I talked about old Animal Jam facts, and that video did pretty well, actually. I got a lot of requests on to make a new one, or, you know, certain people talking about other facts that I didn't include in the video in the comments, so I figured I would make a part 2 to that video as well. I love talking about old things in Animal Jam, or old past events in the game, so these kind of videos I love making, because it's just kind of one giant nostalgia compilation. But yeah, we'll just hop right into it. Now, first up here, flash trading. This was actually one of the most liked comments on the last video, and I thought I mentioned it in the last video because it was very prominent around, you know, 2012, 2013. But this was a really dumb trend that started, and it was kind of popularized by the biggest YouTuber at the time, Julian too, where people would flash trade their items. Essentially, they would trade their most valuable items and try cancel it before the opposing person could accept. And you could probably guess a lot of people got scammed from this, which is the inevitable reason why Animal Jam updated the trading system to make sure to add like a 2-step verification now, which I did talk about in the previous video as well. But a lot of the videos anyway on this especially were kind of cool to watch because a lot of the people that were making these videos, like Julian, were surrounded by people that they trusted the items with regardless, so they didn't have to worry about scams and stuff. And it also just showed like how rare some of these people could be. For example, like WootMoo flash trading 4 founders hats when they were like the rarest item in the game at the time. Very, very peak nostalgia for me personally. But yeah, I definitely knew this one definitely had to be mentioned on the video for sure. Now, following suit on the topic of rares, Hatapalooza. This was a in-game event Animal Jam held. They've actually held this twice now, but the first time this happened was quite catastrophic to the rarity system at the time because some of the rarest items in the game were top hats, which ended up returning with this in-game event where they were putting a bunch of random hats on sale, and Hatapalooza did feature those top hats that I did mention. Some of the top hats in the game were like very rare, even few of a kind, because they hadn't been sold since the beta period of the game at this point when it first happened anyway. So when these actually happened, or when Hatapalooza actually happened, people kind of lost their minds on Animal Jam. This was kind of the first instance of Animal Jam HQ actually returning rare items to store, which happened many times from years to come. I even mentioned in the previous video as well. But yeah, it happened again in 2016 as well, just as top hats were kind of gaining rarity again, and ever since then it's just kind of been, you know, downhill for top hats. I don't think they're even that rare nowadays, and if they are, they're not really worth too much, and definitely nowhere close to where they used to be back in the day. Now, next here, I figured this would have to be mentioned, as well as like some of the other mobile apps that will be talked about later on in the video. But Tunnel Town, definitely a nostalgia point for a lot of players in the game, especially because it was kind of plastered over the Jamal Journal back in the day when it did come out. I did recently, you know, play this game on the channel again, if you want to check that out. Actually covered all the Animal Jam games in one video, but this was like Animal Jam's first way of actually joining the mobile gaming scene, and they wanted it to be Animal Jam related, of course, so they had this little Tunnel Town spin-off here, which was a good game. It's probably their best mobile game, apart from Play Wild, of course, which we'll also cover later on, but definitely a lot of fond memories with this one personally, and I'm glad you can at least still download it nowadays and still play it for yourselves if you want to. Next here we have old Animal Jam YouTube. Now, there is so much that has happened on YouTube for the Animal Jam kind of sphere anyway, that kind of predates to back to 2011, 2012, 2013, around that time period, that it could even be its own video, to be honest. And if you guys really want to see a video talking about stuff like that, do let me know, but I figured I would mention it here. Just the kind of formula for old Animal Jam YouTube videos back in the day, you know, just popping up screencast-o-matic, talking into your mic, or typing even in-game, and like 480p quality as well. You know, it was bound to change anyway, because obviously those videos are very low quality in comparison to some videos nowadays, even outside of Animal Jam, just in comparison to every video on YouTube now. It's definitely a time period on the internet as a whole of that, you know. Videos like that, you're probably never going to see them again, which really sucks. I kind of do miss people, you know, actually making Animal Jam videos like that, and I wish people still did, because it would probably help out the YouTube side of things for Animal Jam a whole lot. But even just, you know, the most popular Animal Jam YouTubers back then, like I mentioned Julian too as well, creators like that were making videos and kind of pioneering Animal Jam's YouTube scene back then, definitely nostalgic for a lot, and probably introduced a lot of players into Animal Jam back in the day. Now, Fman122 is one that definitely had to come up eventually. He's like the face of Animal Jam next to, you know, some of the YouTubers I did mention. Even though he is a giant hacker, but he's the longest lasting, I guess, creepypasta kind of. Even though it was based off a real person, you know, a lot of the myths and rumors about him are, you know, very largely made up. But, you know, this used to be like the boogeyman of Animal Jam. People used to be terrified about the thought of F-Man returning to the game and hacking people. And even when, you know, this even started, you know, people were terrified of it, which obviously, you know, jump started people lying about getting hacked by this guy as well. You know, very funny stuff to look back on, but like if you were there back in the day, you know, you were definitely holding on tight to your account for sure. Next here, I did mention the Forgotten Desert in the last video, I'm pretty sure, but I never mentioned horse coins actually debuting in the prize pool of that adventure. They weren't supposed to, but for a very short few hours when the adventure first released, horse coins were obtainable in that adventure, and a lot of them got in the game from that, actually. Now, horse coins ended up being deleted a few months after all that happened, but these coins were actually pretty elusive back when they actually did feature in these adventures. You know, people started hoarding them up as much as they could, or were just kind of showing them off, I guess. And even nowadays, very few exist in the game. I myself tried to hoard them up. Didn't really work because people tried to hold on to them. Don't trade them. But I can say without a doubt anyway, this is probably one of my favorite items, if not my favorite item in the game. Very stupid because it's just a 3D coin, but I'm pretty sure it's even considered to be the first 3D item in the game too, which is also a cool fact in itself. And kind of going on from unreleased items with the horse coin, there was a lot of other unreleased items that got their way into the Animal Jam trading scene back in like 2013 and 2014. And that was mainly because of people calling up Animal Jam for items and stuff, which I mentioned in the previous video. And I'm pretty sure I even have a video on the channel from a few years ago talking about that as a whole and how much that affected the rarity scene anyway. But a few of these unreleased items like the Scullies, the Mace Tail, the original Stone Sword, which when released did not get its original variant in stores, and then also stuff like the Alpha Staffs, which ended up getting re-released as well, but didn't see one of the recolors or one of the original colors get into the stores anyway. And stuff like the Princess Bed and the Race Car Bed, I'm pretty sure that's all of the unreleased items, and I'm pretty sure there was the Epic Den plaque as well, weighing bench, toilets, those kind of things. Very, very nostalgic for me personally, because I was very involved in the rarity scene at the time, around the time these came out, and I would legit die to get some of these back into the day. So all of these items anyway, for me personally, always hold a special place in my heart when it comes to Animal Jam. But if you are around when these actually were circulating around the game, it was definitely a sight to behold, that is for sure. Next here we have Animal Jam Playwell's beta test, or Animal Jam Mobile now, it's now known as. Figured I would mention this because back when Animal Jam Playwell was in beta, it was only Animal Jam Classic players that were beta testing it. Where nowadays there are Animal Jam Playwell players that probably don't even know Animal Jam Classic exists, or don't actually have an account on the game and are purely only Animal Jam Mobile players, which is kind of interesting to think about. But anyway, back when this was in beta, it was the first time we were ever seeing Animal Jam in 3D. It was a really, really unique look at the game. Even comparing Playwild to its now from its beta, the game looks a lot different, feels a lot different. And personally, when I beta tested this game, because I did play the game when it was in its beta, I don't know, it was just so refreshing to see a lot of the original Animal Jam items we did see on Classic in 3D and on 3D animals as well. Just really, really cool overall, and definitely very nostalgic for me personally anyway. Now, this was something mentioned on the last video. I think some people commented it in the comment section. WootMoo's Den. This used to be the main hub for trading, where nowadays, if you go to his den, I don't know if it's even unlocked, and if it is, nobody is in it. Nobody trades there anymore. I have no idea why. People just kind of jump ship on WootMoo's Den. It really sucks, because, you know, it used to be one of the main trading hubs, as I said. And not only that, you know, he used to show off a bunch of items. Like, his den used to be just full of betas all the time, and that's kind of how it became the main trading spot in the first place. But over the years, there were some people that kind of try to emulate what he did, and they could never hold it, you know, where the den was always full type of thing. So it was definitely a special thing back in the day, and I don't know when it dropped off. It was probably about 2018, 2019 when people just stopped going to his den to trade. Definitely one of the most iconic spots in Animal Jam for sure. Then kind of going off of like the trading spots here, you know, stuff like Epic Wonders. I think Captain Medieval's Juice Hut was a trading spot at some point. The other place in Crystal Sands, the aquarium, was also a trading spot at some point that was always so populated. And not even just these kind of niche areas, every land in the game, they're in Alden, used to be full to the brim with people trading, where nowadays obviously it's a lot different because Animal Jam is a lot less populated. But just looking back on a lot of these old videos that I am using for background footage while talking about this stuff, it's definitely like very special to see, and it's sad to be honest because I wish Animal Jam was this big still, but it is just quite unfortunate. But I kind of say at least that I'm happy that I was there when it did happen and I could witness it for myself, and I'm happy that there is at least footage documenting a lot of these things so I can talk about these in videos. Next here we have the secret icy blue color. This was the very first unreleased or secret color on Animal Jam, and it's still attainable nowadays. It's just a lot harder to get nowadays for some reason. I don't know why. They like changed the way to get it. It's like on a specific diamond animal and you need to do a glitch to actually move that icy blue color onto a different animal. Really weird. The original way of doing it gives you like magenta now, but the secret icy blue color was like the original glitch. It was like one of the first ever glitches on the game, so even for that it is a speciality for sure. But back when this was found out, you would see people all over Animal Jam in this icy blue color. Next here is probably like one of my favorite parts on this list. Every time I see somebody have this badge, it is so special to see. The Newscrew, actually being a part of the Newscrew and, you know, applying for the Newscrew. Even back then, everybody and their moms wanted to join the Newscrew because of this badge. And the plaque, you obviously got along with it. And I've made a video talking about like the Newscrew in general and the kind of history behind that. I don't know if I have it public still, but I'll throw it on public before this video goes out. But unfortunately, Animal Jam doesn't do this anymore. It used to be a thing where you could apply you know, these kind of informational and educational essays essentially about various topics they would set out on a Daily Explorer, and you could submit yours and sometimes you get chosen for the Newscrew. And that was pretty much it. It wasn't like some kind of program you had to keep up with or anything. It was just kind of like a title they would give out to people. Honestly, I really wish that they would return it nowadays, but I don't even know if there's plenty of people out there that would still be interested in something like this. But to me, it holds a very special place in my heart for sure. Next here we have the Spring Bunny glitch, and this was probably the first animal of the patterned animal set that they started doing for years to come after this. But this one specifically I remember being quite popular and quite special because it was the first time people started to really mess around with glitched colors in the game. And if you were around back then when Spring Bunnies and the glitch found with them was first found, you would know it was like a well-guarded secret for a long time. People wanted to keep it under wraps because they wanted to gatekeep it and be special about it pretty much, which is pretty funny looking back on it. But you know, this glitch would then be used for every other patterned animal that came afterwards and stuff. But you know, even nowadays if you see a spring bunny bouncing around, you know, sometimes it'll have the glitch pattern, and you know, it just reminds me of those fond times of when this was first introduced. And yeah, I thought it was worth mentioning. It's probably the most recent thing on this list, but regardless, I think a lot of people will hold memories with this topic as well. The next one here, a lot of you might not even remember this or even know about it because it was taken out of the game a pretty long time ago, actually. This is the Atlantis Party. It was an underwater only party, so you had to have an underwater animal to go to it. And it was a very old party that was around for a few years. I'm pretty sure it was cycled out a few times before in like, I want to say like 2016 maybe at the latest. It was taken out and it has not returned ever since then. And if you're doing the math, it's 2024 now. That's like 8 years of this party just being gone, which is really, really odd to say the least. Now, at underwater areas, you know, they kind of came and went. When they were first introduced, they were really popular, but people kind of died out on the hype for that, and I imagine this party suffered from that as well. But honestly, out of every party in the game, this is probably one of my favorites because it was like one of the first ones I remember going to as a kid all the time, just hanging out there randomly. The music to it is pretty good as well. Just a generally nice vibe, to be honest with you. Continuing the topic of parties, we have the trading party. This was a more recent party. It was taken out, I want to say, around like 2017, 2018 maybe. I do believe the reason why this was taken out was in favor of the hosted parties, because people kind of started using those for trading parties when those got first introduced. Plus the claw machine that was available at the trading party was available in those hosted parties. So I guess that was really the only upside of going to this trading party for the most part back in the day, other than, you know, raiding people. And maybe they realized people were just using other areas to trade anyway, so it didn't really matter. The overall theme of the party didn't really make sense for the name of it. You know, it was just a winter castle den, and that was it. It was just had random decorations in it and a claw machine. People would sometimes trade in it, but for the most part, people would just kind of do everything, you know, the same as they would in every other party in the game. Next here we got the second app, which I did cover on the channel probably about a month ago at this point. Whenever this video goes out, I don't know. But AJ Jump, this was the second ever Animal Jam based mobile game, and it was kind of like a doodle jump kind of game, you know, a jumper game. And I remember this being a pretty big hit at the time in the community because it had a exclusive pet you could get along with it, which was the pet Joey, which I'm pretty sure they introduced another way to get it now because you can't get it anymore with this app. But you could also, you know, get gems in Animal Jam Jump and transfer them over to your Animal Jam account, which a lot of people liked as well because gems back then weren't as easily, you know, acquirable, I guess, as they are nowadays, where you can get 20,000 of them just by entering codes. But yeah, I remember playing this back in the day and getting this for the first time, and was pretty psyched about it. Loved playing it, you know, just as like a random thing, you know, when you're bored. But yeah, definitely a lot of fond memories with this one. Now here we have kind of similar to the old Animal Jam YouTube topic, the old Animal Jam commercials. There's a lot of them to pack into one video, so I'm just gonna throw a few on screen. You can probably like point out like, oh, I watched that growing up. And you know, I would like to be making a video soon anyway, maybe about Animal Jam commercials, like all of them, going over all of them. I think that would be a pretty cool thing to do, to look back on as well, because there are some funky looking ones in there. But do let me know in the comments, of course. But yeah, there is a lot of these old commercials anyway that are quite interesting, to say the least. Now in the last one, I did talk about, you know, old UI, but there was one specific thing that changed in the transition of the UI, which was the inventory system. So when they updated the inventory system and how you sort your inventory, you couldn't sort by item anymore, which would pretty much sort by the item ID, so everything would look pretty organized. Unfortunately, they took that out for some reason. I've still, till this day, do not know why they took this out, but it pretty much made you actually have to trade, you know, items to an alt account and then trade them back in the order you wanted them to show up in the inventory if you wanted it all to be organized by item, which is really, really dumb. And then with the preview in the bottom left corner of your animal, it used to actually show what items you were wearing. Now, I pretty much heard around the game that this one might have been removed for, you know, performance reasons, you know, to make sure that things are less laggy, but I don't think that's even really the case because from what I know, with third-party programs, you can still enable this feature. Same with the other one. It's, you know, still built into the game. It's just disabled for whatever reason. I'm pretty sure even back then I heard it was like just something they accidentally broke when they were updating the game and just never bothered fixing. I don't really know. But I used to love being able to have, you know, the items show up in the bottom left, and also sorting by item was just so, you know, pleasing to the eye. You know, go through your inventory, especially if you have every item of a certain set, you know, every variant type of thing. It was just so nice, and if anything on this could return, it definitely would be this. I would want to return. Another thing I really want to talk about is the epic plushies on the game. Now, these have been re-released a few times in different ways in recent years, unfortunately, but I believe these were the very first promotional item Animal Jam ever released. I believe it was in collaboration with the company known as Sidekix, actually, but these obviously were little plush toys of different animals in the game at the time, and, you know, you redeem the code in game that comes along with the item, and you get the plush you got in real life in-game as well. And I remember when these first came out, everybody wanted them. People were trading buttloads for these in-game plushies as well. Unfortunately, I think after a year or two of them being on sale, they got discontinued, and they're actually pretty rare now from what I know. At least anytime you try to look up listings to buy one nowadays. Personally, I am blessed to have the full set. I'll put a picture on screen if I remember to edit it in. Just from when they came out years ago, I just still have them lying around. I just have them set up on my shelf now, but these little critters are really nostalgic for me, and I'm sure, you know, a lot of people would reminisce with that as well. And the last thing I want to talk about here is a kind of hoax that happened on the game. I've kind of talked about this in a video before, I think, but it was the whole thing in the diamond shop where people would dress up white and dance around the diamonds on the floor to try to get free diamonds. I figured that was worth talking about. That's like a weird kind of funny thing that happened way back in the day when the diamond shop kind of came out, or about a year or so after it came out anyway, because back then getting diamonds was pretty hard, because the only way you could get them was just getting a diamond every week back then, or when you initially buy a membership. So it was pretty rough, to say the least. Yeah, that's something I definitely did want to talk about as well. Really funny time, kind of myths and stuff in the game, and of course I think I've made a video talking about kind of old myths on the game as a whole as well, if you want to check that out. Check out videos on screen or whatever. Let me know if you guys want more videos like this as well, kind of just focusing on certain years in the game, kind of going over old facts like this. It's something I would love to make a series on, to be honest, because I'm Unk status at this point. Been around way too long, so I definitely have the knowledge for it, but let me know in the comments.